When I was very young, whenever my father came home from work, I would sit next to him and watch the evening news in order to spend time with him because I loved him very much. As far as I can remember, one of the news stories was always about the war between Israel and Palestine, showing heartbreaking scenes of wounded and killed Palestinian peoples, as well as the involvement of Israeli and Zionist forces. I was around 6 or 5 years old when I asked my father why they were fighting, and he explained that Muslim Arabs claimed that this land is theirs. They argued that they lived here for centuries before Judah came from Europe. Who are these Muslim Arabs? They are the Palestinians. Israel and Judaism respond that they lived here before the Muslim Arabs for centuries. Even to this day, when these conflicts reach their peak and the entire world is talking about them, I have dedicated a video to the history of Israel-Palestine war. This video provides a useful summary of why these wars are happening. Make sure not to miss the last part of the video where I explain why the UN doesn't come to the aid of the people of Palestine. Let's go back 1,000 years ago, hop in our time machine car and travel to the time of the prophets Yaqub and his son Joseph. The story of these two prophets is mentioned in the Bible and the Muslim Quran. It tells us that these people lived in a land called Canaan, which is present-day Israel. They had to go to Egypt due to famine and drought. During the time of Prophet Moses, they faced hardship and they were oppressed by Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt. This led the Jewish people to return to their own land and establish kingdoms known as Israel and Judah. Later, these two kingdoms were destroyed in wars by Assyrians and Babylonians, and the people of this land were exiled to different places. When the Jewish land was under the Persian Achaemenid Empire, which was the largest empire in the world at that time, the Persian king allowed them to return and inhabit their own land. After the Achaemenids, the Romans came to rule the Jewish land. In 132 AD, the Jews rebelled against the Romans in what is known as the Kokhba Rebellion. This rebellion was a response to the discriminatory policies imposed by the Romans against the Jews. As a result, the Romans exiled the entire Jewish population, and it was during this time that Jews dispersed and settled all over the world, adopting different identities, with one of the most significant being Ashkenazi, which included European Jews. Since then, the Jewish land came to be referred to as Palestine by Romans. This term is not of Arabic origin, but of Roman origin, with some suggesting that it had Greek roots. During that period, Europe was predominantly Christian, and Ashkenazi Jews formed a minority living in Europe. Christianity regarded Jews as a killer of Jesus Christ, accusing them of crucifying him, and as a result, Jews faced persecution in Europe. In 1897, the Jews organized a congress in Switzerland, where Jewish leaders from around the world gathered to discuss their future, including where to settle and establish a new country for themselves and their people. Palestine was confirmed as their desired land. The ancient homeland of the Jews is the region in and around Jerusalem. Jerusalem was of great importance to them. It is not just a city, it is a religious concept that transcends time itself. It is considered the holiest city in Judaism and is deeply intertwined with Jewish history, religion, and identity. Jerusalem is mentioned numerous times in the Hebrew Bible, known as the Old Testament in Christianity, and is associated with major events and figures in Jewish history. Many Islamic and Jewish prophets were buried there. Jesus Christ was born in Jerusalem, and the Crusades spanning 200 years were fought with the purpose of conquering Jerusalem. Contrary to the current claims, the Palestinians did sell portions of their land to the Jews, but records indicate that the amount of land sold accounted for only a small percentage, ranging from 3 to 10%. Exactly during the period when the land of Palestine was under the control of the Ottoman Empire. However, after a certain period, the Ottoman ruler prohibited Palestinians from selling land to Jews. This ban remained in place until the end of the World War I, which resulted in a Jewish and Zionist victory. In following, I will tell you what the victory it is. The Great Britain and European powers, in a position of strength, made promises to the Arabs, encouraging them to rebel against the Ottomans. In return, the Arabs were promised independence and the land resulting from the partition of the Ottoman Empire. Behind closed doors, the British government and France were dividing the Middle East between themselves, with Britain expressing interest in Palestine. Simultaneously, Britain offered Palestine to the Zionists, declaring that the country belonged to them. This offer became known as the Balfour Declaration, comprising 67 words statements. The statement issued by the British government, Arthur Balfour, in 1917 bore the British Zionist leader in Jewish community named Lionel Walter Rothschild. According to this declaration, all Jewish people worldwide were allowed to live in Palestine, with Britain recognizing their right to do so. Let's read this declaration. Foreign Office, November 2nd, 1917. Dear Lord Rothschild, I have much pleasure in conveying to you, on behalf of His Majesty's government, the following declaration of sympathy with Jewish Zionist aspiration, which has been submitted to and approved by the Cabinet. His Majesty's government views with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object. It being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine, or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. I should be grateful if you would bring this declaration to the knowledge of the Zionist Federation. Yours sincerely, Arthur James Balfour. In fact, Great Britain promised to the Arabs to help them be recognized as an independent country named Palestine and provide them with British weapons and supplies. But after World War I, Britain took control of Palestine and deployed its troops there. Jews began immigrating to Palestine under British supervision, and gradually the policies implemented favored the Jewish population and disadvantage to Muslim Arabs. It was as if Britannia acted as a real estate agent, selling the same property to multiple parties. In response to the British action, the Arabs revolted against both the Jews and the British, leading to various conflicts and wars. Consequently, the Jewish population increased, and even before the outbreak of World War II, Jews constituted around 30% of the population. Britain withdrew all its forces from Palestine and handed over Palestine to the United Nations. The United Nations proposed to form two countries in the Palestine region, one for the Jews and one for the Arabs. The Arabs constitute the majority of the population, with 46 for them and 54 for the Jews. However, the Arabs did not accept this proposal, leading to conflicts. Israel was established in 1948, but Arab countries and those surrounding Israel launched attacks against it, resulting in a year-long war. However, in 1949, Israel emerged victorious, and the Arab centuries were defeated, bringing an end to the war. Despite the futility of war the Palestinian people endured, while the majority of them are Arabs, Israeli population exceeded that of the Palestinians. This is because after each victory, Israel expanded its territory and gained a higher percentage of land from the Palestinians. Great Britain, America, and the United Nations frequently report news about the Palestinian casualties and Israel's developments. However, they fail to provide strong support or take significant actions due to Israel firmly pounds the Balfour Declaration on the table. Israel believes that while the declaration may consist of only 67 words, it encompasses numerous clarifications and implications. Thanks for following me until the end of the video. If you have any question about the Israel-Palestine conflict, please feel free to mention them in the comments. Also be sure to check out my other video about the history of Israel and Jerusalem. Bye!